Hi everyone, today I'm going to be reading Stanley at Sea by Linda Bailey and illustrated by Bill Slavin. So remember, illustrated means that they drew the pictures. I mainly wanted to read the story because it has the name Stanley in it, like in our class. Stanley's a dog, but I thought it was still fun to see all of your names or Stanley's name in here. Stanley knew he wasn't supposed to beg for food, but his people kept eating and eating and eating, and they didn't share a single bite with him. So what else could he do? He whined, he drooled, he rubbed his cold, wet nose against their legs. "Stanley," said his people, "no begging, get." Stanley didn't always understand people talk, but he sure knew get. He slumped on down to the river. Some of his friends were there, Alice and Nesty and Gassy Jack. They'd all been told to get. "I'm so hungry I could eat dirt," said Alice in dog talk. "I could eat my own tail," said Nesty, and for a minute or two she tried. Drooling and droopy, the dogs sniffed their way down the path. All they could find was an old wad of gum. It was so dried up even a dog wouldn't eat it. Then, all of a sudden, their noses trembled. Just a few steps away was the most glorious trash can in the world. It was green and gorgeous and packed to the brim with garbage so scrumptious you wouldn't know where to start. "There are burgers in there," barked Stanley. "Tacos," yipped Nesty. "Pizza," squealed Gassy Jack. Howling with joy, the dogs ran for the can. But before they could put a single paw on it, what's going to happen? Vroom! Out of nowhere came a huge white truck. Out popped some claws, and up went the can. "Eee!" whined Stanley. The dogs watched in horror as the whole magnificent, mouth-watering feast got dumped into the garbage truck. "Arr!" moaned the dogs. "Arr! Arr!" But what could they do? Not a thing. They were so excited for that food. Looks like they're getting on a boat. Stanley sniffed again. "Ham," he barked. "That away." The dogs raced to a small red boat. Everyone leaped aboard, but it was Gassy Jack who found the sandwich. In less than a second, he wolfed it down. He ate the lunch bag, too. The dogs all turned to leave. But suddenly, everywhere they wanted to walk was... What is it going to be? Good. You guessed it. Water. None of the dogs had been on a boat before. "Are we having a bath?" asked Alice. "No," said Stanley. "We're not wet." The only thing they knew was they were moving. Houses and bushes and trees raced past. The dogs were so shocked they forgot to be hungry. They were so surprised they weren't even hungry anymore. Oh my goodness. Oh, people. Up loomed a bridge, crowded with cars. As the dogs drifted closer, the cars all stopped. People jumped out. They pointed and waved. "Woof," said Stanley, which in dog talk means hi. And maybe the people said hi back, but the dogs never knew because, quick as a twitch, they were under the bridge. And right after that, with a whoosh and a whirl, the dogs were swept to sea. "Where are we going?" squeaked Nesty. Stanley gazed all around. Outside was very big here. The water was huge and the sky stretched in every direction. "We're going," he cried, "to the end of the outside." I don't know where they're going. How would you feel? I would feel very nervous and a little scared. The other dog's eyes bugged out. They stared at the water and sky. The end of outside, they said to each other. Yes! What's there? Asked Alice. Everyone turned to Stanley. If anyone knew, it was him. Stanley thought hard. A fence, he said. The dogs all barked in agreement. They knew that wherever you go in the world, sooner or later you always came to a fence. Now that they knew where they were going, the dogs felt better. They bobbed and floated while all around the air grew thick and white. Suddenly the air cleared. There it is, yapped Stanley. The end of outside. The dogs all stared in delight. They had never imagined the fence would be so big. What do you think that is? They began to bay with excitement. They leaped and bounced and tumbled, and Nessie fell in the water. She let out a frightened yelp. Stanley tried to grab her, but she was too slippery. Suddenly, from out of the sky came a man on a rope. He reached out and fished Nessie from the water. Phew! Slowly he rose, taking Nessie with him. Then he came back down again. This time he took Alice. Next was Gatsy Jack, and finally up went Stanley, up way up to the top of the fence. He fell down, but that's the man that caught them. Do you think the fence is a really big boat, maybe? I think so. There's no words on this picture, it's just one big picture. Oh my goodness, look at all that food they're eating. It was huge and full of people. There was room for the dogs to walk and run, but that wasn't the best part. The best part was that the people on top of the fence had food, steak and sausages, and they put it on plates and gave it to the dogs. When the dogs ate it up, the people brought more steak and sausages, and then even more. The dogs ate like pigs. They had to waddle away from their plates. Oh my goodness, they ate too much. When Stanley finally saw his people again, he was so full of steak and sausage he could hardly bark. His people gave him a hug. Oh, Stanley, they said. Where have you been? To the end of outside, thought Stanley. But all he could say was, Arf! That's all any of the dogs could say, and all they could do on the long ride home was grunt and burp and snore. But in the days that followed, they talked to their friends the way dogs do, and they told them the whole story just as I've told you. The story got around, and ever since then, dogs have known that if you go to the end of outside, you will see a very big fence, and if you're lucky, you'll be lifted up way to the top, where you'll be given all the steak and sausages you can eat. No dog has ever found the fence again. But they think about it all the time. All right, so that was Stanley at Sea. I hope you enjoyed that story, and I'll talk to you later. All right, I miss you and I love you. Bye.